Queensland now, where a university student at the University of the Sunshine Coast has lost points on an assessment because she didn't do a welcome to country. She's in the last 2 weeks of her course, the course being crime, diversity, and what was the rest of the name of it?
Who cares?
Crime, diversity and justice. So rather broad. And she'd given this oral assessment. So imagine her shock when she gets her marks back, and here's a clip of a screenshot of the feedback she got. An acknowledgement of country would have been appropriate, writes the marker, given your chosen topic. Of course, the student was taken aback by this, given it wasn't in the criteria for the assessment. Now, anyone who's been a student knows we pore over the criteria to make sure you've ticked every box and that you can't be marked down on something that obvious. If they've asked for it, you give it to them, but it was not asked for, therefore she did not do it. She took it up with the lecturer. She said, "Excuse me, have I been marked down?" To which they confessed to her, had you included a welcome to country, you would have got 1 or 2 more points. Here is the student who's chosen to remain anonymous for obvious reasons, speaking to 4BC today.
And the fact that it was on a criteria sheet, you know, and I still got marked down for it, that's pretty annoying, you know, especially I'm paying 60 grand for this degree. It's really not fair. These classes are very judgmental. You feel like you'd say something and you'd get threatened or like just looked at funny if you didn't believe the same things. Even one of the lecturers, like, she definitely had her own opinions, and if you didn't believe that, you were looked upon differently.
It's what we know is going on in classrooms, not only in our schools, but also in our universities. Now, it was just last month we were talking about Macquarie University, including a mandatory welcome to country in one of their law courses. Once that got blasted in the media, they turfed it, as they should. Then just Monday night, we discussed a senior law lecturer at the University of Queensland who was threatening her students regarding their future prospects because they'd got up at one point in her lecture, in which she was majoring on all things Indigenous, and walked out. The level of brainwashing happening in these universities is being laid bare by these students who are bravely blowing the whistle on their own lecturers.
Well, is it any wonder that our academic results just keep going through the floor? I mean, if this is the stuff that you now get marked on, whether you put an acknowledgement of country in your essay or not, I mean, it has nothing to do with the academic rigour of the work you have put together. It's like saying you get extra marks because the font on the front of it looked nice. I mean, it has no bearing on the contents of what you have written. Surely you ought to be marked on whether the essay you've written, A, makes sense and is spelt properly, and if you're writing about diversity, crime and justice, relates to that topic and is factually correct. That's what it's all about, is it not? If we're going to start saying you get points for acknowledgement of country, it's rote learning is what they're trying to do, is that you must do this because we tell you must do this. And the thing that saddens me the most about this, every time we see an example like this, or you go to an event and every speaker gets up and gives their own acknowledgement of country, even though the MC has given one at the start, and then everyone starts groaning and going, "Oh my God,
kind of going,
not
been acknowledged. I've been acknowledged.
Exactly.
It's okay.
But the thing that saddens me the most about it is it's when they go overboard like that people truly do start to go, well, I don't care about any Indigenous issues anymore because they feel like it's being rammed down their throat all the time. The people who are pushing this stuff forward because they think they're doing great things for the Indigenous community are actually hurting them.
I couldn't agree more. And you're actually seeing peak Indigenous bodies saying, you know what, enough with the acknowledgement of the country. It's become tokenistic, it's become sort of this perfunctory, performative thing that actually has no real value. It certainly doesn't change anything. It doesn't improve the lot of Indigenous people in Australia, which is something we really need to do, and I dare say we're going to get to that shortly. And again, this was just this wasn't even an essay, it was just someone standing up and giving an oral presentation. Presumably, that facility at which that was happening, where there were God knows how many other students doing presentations. Presumably, if people were that exercised about having an acknowledgement of country, and the teachers and the markers who were presumably there listening on the same bit of country, listening to the student, were there to hear it, they would have actually done the thing the same if they cared that much. But again, it just makes no difference whatsoever. It's not relevant to the actual coursework.
Yeah, she wants to be a policewoman, and it's like, how dare you not do a welcome? She's like,
I would like to acknowledge the fact that
loud.
I'm giving you a breathalyzer, but it's ridiculous, and it actually hurts things. It's things like this, which is why the voice referendum went down, because people were so sick of it, and why, as we're about to find out, real issues in Indigenous communities are not being adequately addressed.